So it's my last day in Vilnius, and had a really great walk. I'm just trying to sum things up because I had some really kind of moving and powerful experiences in the course of doing this walk. And I think it's really interesting because this is a bookend video to the video I did, I think the day I got here. The day I got here, I did a video right after I'd gone to the shrine of the Lady of the Gated Dawn, and I'd gotten a new credential that showed me all the different routes about Lithuania, and it was then that I decided I was going to hike up to the village. So originally I just thought I'd take a bus up there, but this route, I mean, that route allowed me to do the hiking I did, which I did, like, I've done about 100 miles of hiking, or probably about 150. But anyway, so just getting back to that video, in that video I was talking about how in Catholicism, the Mary, the Mother of God, is associated with what kind of seem to be a bunch of different miraculous experiences. And in some cases, those miraculous experiences are kind of difficult to tie together. So it almost seems like it's different emanations or different aspects of something. Specifically, like, I'll talk about Fatima, the Lady of Fatima. So when I did the Camino previously, I went to the shrine of the Lady of Fatima. And so that story involves, she's also known as Senora de la Luz, or Lady of the Light. And so that story goes back to during World War I, like 1913, 1915. I'm not sure the exact date. And there were three young children three young shepherds, los tres piñeros. And they described how a spiritual entity in the form of a woman appeared to them while they were tending the animals out in the fields and talked to them. And I believe there's even a part of the story where, and this happened repeatedly over a period of time, and then apparently the children were then, or I'm not sure if all of them, or if this all happened to them all as a group or individually, but they described being taken to a grotto where the woman gave them further instructions and talked to them and told them about other things. And so anyway, the children told their parents, and then their parents told the priest, and then the woman appeared to them again and told the children to tell the people that she would appear at a given date and time in the sky. And so everybody showed up, and it was pouring rain. I'm sure the people were like, oh, nothing's going to happen. We came all the way out here in the rain. And so apparently there were between 10 to 70, like probably about 10 to 15,000 people who showed up. This is again in rural Portugal, so this probably would have been big news. So apparently a light appeared in the sky. The clouds cleared, the rain stopped, and a light appeared in the sky. And the light there was heat emanating from it, so much so that the rain like evaporated from the ground, from people's clothing, in a short amount of time. I don't know how long this occurred for. And so then subsequently, of the Los Tres Piñeros, two of them passed away, and there was one of the girls grew up, she became a nun and lived, I think, into her 90s or 80s. She lived a very long time. And there were apparently three prophecies, or three bits of information, that this apparition, the Lady of the Light, provided to children. And some of them have never been divulged by the Catholic Church. They're secret ones. Some of them, I believe, have come to pass. I'm not that familiar with the story or the cult of Fatima. That was on my first pilgrimage to Portugal. I went there after my mom died. So that's an example of one of the aspects of how a story, and by my understanding, there's no indication that the Senora de la Luz ever identified herself as the Virgin Mary or anything like that. And then also, Mary is associated with the Lady of the Gate of Dawn, who, like, among the miracles that's associated with this, like in Vilnius, the Lady of the Gate of Dawn is back during the invasion of the city by a Swedish army. There was the portcullis in the town closed shut on the invading army as they were coming through the gate and killed several soldiers. And I mean, it's a miracle, but it's a very brutal one. But in the video before, I was talking about how it's more, I feel it's described more like a Shakti or a power. In like a Vedic tradition, that sort of a female energy is associated with like Mahadeva, and this sort of primordial mother of the universe, this Shakti, this energy that permeates all life and is sort of the mother of all living things. So I started my hike from Vilnius, and initially I had thought I'd take a bus up to the village and then go over to a different city and start walking on the Camino there and just walk down the middle of the country. And I got the credential here, which provided me a different map. So I just started walking from Vilnius. So it took me about a week to get up there. I had a great experience when I finally got there, and other things along the way that I experienced. So I'm very glad that I walked the route I walked. So after getting to Pandemunis, to the village, there were some local people who sort of randomly picked me up and brought me back to their house and fed me dinner and let me sleep on their lawn. And it made me feel so good. Like, just, I felt so much, I felt like I was back home, and people, if they see this, they'll be like, God, what is your home like? Like, we weren't that nice to you. But it on this lonely journey that I've been taking, and I've been walking pretty much for a week by myself, it meant a lot. So I hiked from there, I kept going, and the next day I came to a cold, deep spring by the side of the road, and it's built up. There's like a little pool there. It's with concrete walls and stuff, but it's like a very cold, deep spring that's constantly bubbling up water. And I felt in a certain way that was kind of the end of my walk. Like, I'd made it I'd sort of gone to the village where my great-grandmother was from. I know that she lived, because there are still people in the village who are related to her who still live there. And then from there, I went to that spring, and I felt like I'd gotten to where I needed to go. It's an endless source of fresh water. But what a good place. But I took a bus from there to Burjai, and I spent a day there. I had a really great experience. I went to the castle, Burjai Castle, and then I had a very good experience by the lake. Very beautiful with the clouds. It's a very beautiful area. But I had a really kind of profound experience at the lake there. And then so in Burjai, I was like, okay, I'm all done with the Camino. So I'm going to go to the coast. I'm going to go start checking out sites that are important in the Remuva, which is sort of a neo-pagan revival of old Lithuanian traditions and old Lithuanian beliefs, rituals, and things. So currently there's like 5,000 people in Lithuania who identify themselves as practitioners of that religion. And it's been only, I think, 3 years that the government here has given that group legal recognition. So now they recognize marriages in that tradition and other things. I imagine they get tax exempt status. There are other benefits to having government recognition of your religion. So from Berja, I was going to take a bus to Klaipeda, which is on the coast, by the Kuralangian Spit, which is this long beach. I was going to go there and go to some of these, because there's a very important sacred site there, where people who practice this religion have ceremonies and do puja, or I believe they have a different name for it. It's not puja. It's similar to like a puja, but they have rituals and things that they do there. And I don't believe there's any temple in Lithuania currently that you can go visit. It's all done probably in people's homes and in other sites. So I bought my bus ticket and I took my bus there, and it was getting close to 8 p.m. And in Lithuania, the cutoff time for buying alcohol is 8 p.m. So I was about 15 miles away from Palanga. So I was nowhere near Klaipeda. I was like about 30 miles away. The bus was really late. And I was like, I've got to have some to drink. I'm all sore. I got to have some vodka. I'm not a habitual drinker. I've been drinking a little bit on this trip, but I'm going to stop when I get back home. And I don't think I'll have a problem stopping. But anyway, so I hopped off the bus in this random town, and I made it to the store at 8 p.m. and got what I wanted. And then I GPS'd. I found a campground in Palanga I was starting to hike towards. And after less than a half a mile, I found myself back on the Camino. And there's a Camino marker right there. And it was just kind of jarring feeling that it was like the Twilight Zone. It's like you can't get away. Or what it really was I then sort of realized, well, there's more that I'm going to be shown. There's more to this that I'm going to see. So I didn't hike to that campground. I was hiking on the road, and I came to this densely wooded area, and it was still light out. So I walked in just to see what it looked like. And there was tons of firewood. There was tons of like broken up trees and stuff on the ground. Nobody ever camped in here because there was so much wood on. Nobody had fires there. So I got far enough off the road to where you couldn't really see me, and put up my tent, and I was going to have a little fire. So I drank vodka, and I kept that fire going until it got light again in the morning. And I slept till about 11. And then I hiked from there down into Palanga, about 12 or 14 miles, past the city, got food and stuff, and hiked past it. And then I found a place to camp. And then, in a very pleasant evening, the stars were very visible, and I was just watching the stars and stuff. And the next morning I got up and I started walking. And within about 20 minutes or so, I came upon a park where there's a place near Palanga, just south of it, called Brute Hill. And so this was 1,000 years ago. The Kurlangian people built a large mound right on the coast, right like within a few hundred feet of the ocean, using stone and sand. And it's a hill of, it's maybe 600 or 700 feet tall, not sure exactly. And so it's interesting because at this site, back when it was in use, the people who lived there, was probably several hundred people lived there. They were fishermen, and they had a wood palisade and houses on the sides of this mound. But they also had an observatory where they used wooden stakes to allow them to keep track of the movement of the stars, and to keep track of time and things like that. I'm not sure exactly what they were doing. So that morning I came there, and at the base of that hill, there's a small shrine to the Virgin Mary and Saint Bernadette. And so there's a story of how Saint Bernadette had a visitation and an experience where the Virgin Mary appeared to her in a grotto. And then I climbed up the hill, and at the top of it is a small shrine where there also is another depiction of the Virgin Mary. Interestingly enough, that image, it's a wood painting, and it's been covered in metal, similar to an Eastern Orthodox icon, as is the Lady of the Gate of Dawn in Vilnius. So they're both similar images, and it's like the Lady of the Gate of Dawn in that image and depiction. It is just Mary with no child. It's just Mary. The image I came to at Beruta Hill is an image of the Virgin Mary with the Christ child. So I felt it was the way that this walk completed itself. And in doing this walk, so just to get back to like my first night in Vilnius. So my first night in Vilnius, I was talking about just this whole thing about how in Catholicism, different miraculous experiences that people have been attributed to the Virgin Mary, despite there being sort of a tenuous connection between the actual Virgin Mary, the historical Virgin Mary, and the actual miracles. Like Fatima, the Lady of Fatima, the Senora de la Luz, is considered to be the Virgin Mary. The Lady of the Gate of Dawn, dropping a portcullis down, protecting the city, protecting people from evil, also the Virgin Mary. The grotto where Saint Bernadette experienced a vision or an experience with the Virgin Mary. All of these are collected together. And I feel very strongly that it is, I can explain this more in a Vedic tradition, that it's Shakti. There's the primordial mother of the universe is Mahadev, Shri Shri Mahadev, and it's Shakti. I'm not gonna. I could spend a long time trying to explain that, but So this walk and the way that I've kind of found myself brought to different experiences, as though I'm being presented with something, in a way that makes me feel that there's a connection to something else, something much greater than us. So there's some other stuff too that's happened that I'm not going to get into, because then it becomes like this game of connect the dots and everything makes sense, doesn't it? But it does make sense to me. And I think in doing these kinds of walks, you have to be open. You have to have yourself open to the world, to something else. And this walk has given me faith in something that is much greater than any of us. Any of the individual life forms on Earth is much greater than the Earth itself. And I guess the thing is, like, don't be afraid, you know? It's so easy. The civilization we've created, it's so easy to lose sight of the value and the importance of each of us, each thing that's alive. Each mosquito, maybe not mosquitoes, but each thing that's out there in the world. Yeah. So, anyway, I don't know how this is going to come out. I'm going to probably listen to this again. I don't know if I want to record another one of these, so I might just put this one up. But yeah, so this is the bookend to the first video, the first day I was here. Because I started at the Gate of Dawn, and I kind of set my mind, I sort of offered up the austerity and the pain that I would experience on this walk in exchange for the protection of people from all that's scaring everybody right now. And I hope that that fear will go away. So, yeah, it's a good walk. A good walk. And I don't know what's next. I'm going back to the States. Got a lot to do. So if you're watching these, hey, thanks for watching. Catch you later.